for liberation just have vastly different understandings of what liberation is for.
I haven't seen this much importance and attention.
The story itself is a really wonderful, really great setup.
Tractor beam has been engaged.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tractor Beam Comics Reviews, your one-stop shop for in-depth commentary and discussion on the Star Wars books that came out today. It is Wednesday, October 30th, 2024. It's the 43rd week of comics in 2024. And yes, comics are for Wednesdays, and Wednesdays are for comics. So we're rolling a bit of a misnomer. One of the books we're talking about came out a few weeks ago, but we'll get to that in just a little bit. Let's get the plugs right off the top. You can follow us Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at EonCanonPod, EYEONCANONPOD, and Twitter and YouTube at StarRaptor, StarRapter, youtube.com/StarRaptor, where my rant about New York Comic Con is still up, I believe. There you go. But otherwise, yeah, you got a lot of great content going on there. We'll pick that up at the end. So more. We're gonna keep it rolling. Yes, we are proudly part of the Star Wars Underworld podcast network. So here we got on this YouTube channel, of course, we have super chats and we have YouTube memberships. So please do support the network and the channel as you are willing and able. We would greatly appreciate it. And also the Star Wars Underworld Discord server in the link in the description below. Please do check that out. The water is fine. We're in there. We're chatting. I think they're having a games night on Friday.
They are, yep.
So yeah. So please do feel free to join in. Again, the link is right down below. If you're game to come and hang out and chat, and the games, it's like a video, not a video chat, but like, to hang out there, but also chatting about a whole bunch of stuff, Star Wars, Star Trek, Marvel, Celebration Prep, all that stuff. So feel free to join us down there. We're down in the link in the description and join us there and wish Ben a belated happy half birthday. There we go. All right, we're gonna move it right along. We do want to keep this a bit of a slightly shorter episode, but we got 4 things to talk about. 3 books, 2 new books, but also some news. First off,
the news
off the top. This came out like after we recorded on Wednesday.
Literally hours after we recorded, probably about 12 hours or less. I'm like, really? They could have just put this out right before we went live? We have to wait a whole week to talk about this?
Yeah, there was a better time they could have put this out when Christina had asked the author about it at New York Comic Con. But I've been there. I've ranted at Ion Cannon all about that. So you can check that out. The news is, though, that StarWars.com, it's on October 24th. So this is a few days after New York Comic Con, the day after our Tractor Beam.
Yeah.
But anyway, Kylo Ren. He is ready to finish what his grandfather started. Soon, the Supreme Leader of the First Order will follow in the footsteps of Darth Vader with the new Marvel comic series, Star Wars Legacy of Vader, of course, written by Charles Soule and art by Luke Ross. And you see this cover right here by Derek Chu. You got there Kylo Ren, and then Grandpa and his mask right in the background there. Overseeing proceedings from the grave, I guess. Anyway, this issue number 1 releases Wednesday, February 5th, 2025. So just a few months from now. And the article, I think this is Charles himself saying that this represents a chance to explore an extremely rich section of the timeline that's almost entirely open, Kylo Ren's time as Supreme Leader of the First Order. So yeah, again, it's set. The article says it's set between the events of The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, and it revisits Kylo's enduring connection to his maternal grandfather. I'm quoting here, the Emperor's Enforcer, Darth Vader. It further explores how the events of Vader's past guide Kylo's choices as he leads the First Order. Joel and I went in depth talking about this on Monday, so I'll throw it to you, Chris. What are your thoughts on this comic book?
Oh man, I was excited when I heard the news. I was excited. I honestly couldn't guess this was what he was working on. I should have known better, knowing what his legacy was with writing Darth Vader, right? Yeah. But I was like, oh, cool, we got another mini series. Like that was my first thought. I was like, okay, cool, like a mini series. Like he's done the Rise of Kylo Ren. We're gonna get no. This is an ongoing, guys. This is an ongoing. Remember, this time period is a year period. I mean, you look at the Star Wars comics that we just had, it was a year period, and it took us about 4 years in our time to get through that whole space. So this thing could have the prospect of going on for a very long time, which I'm happy about, because we haven't gotten a long form Kylo Ren story before in comic book version. And I know we were just talking off the air about how much you loved the 2017 run by Charles Soule. So imagine that caliber of storytelling in the sequel trilogy with Kylo Ren, where like we have this character that is so he's conflicted beyond belief. So to see us get a deep dive into his psyche in a long form comic, that is incredible. Like Charles Soule is just about the best guy that could write this story, because he does so well with Vader. He's already written Kylo Ren. I really did enjoy. I know there's an audience there that doesn't really like the Rise of Kylo Ren. I mean, I've actually really enjoyed it quite a bit with the Knights of Ren and different things. I expect to see them a lot in this book, and this is a smart choice. I said this before, and I'm not the only one who said this. Like, Marvel's going to want to always have a book out there that's connected to Vader in some. So the fact that it's not even named Kylo Ren or Ben Solo, it's just the legacy of Vader, is interesting, because you got Vader in a title. Like, okay, yeah, like chances are you're going to get some Vader flashbacks of some degree or something in here at some point. Oh yeah, the artwork is beautiful. I mean, Luke Ross, this guy is a legend with Star Wars. The fact that we're getting Luke Ross with Charles Soule, that's a dream team right there. And I was excited by the outlook of where he's going to be going, as we see here in these beautiful pages, like going to Mustafar, going to Fortress Vader, exploring all that, going in to Tatooine, Kylo Ren on Tatooine. We've never been to Tatooine in the sequel trilogy, except for, I guess, Rise of Skywalker at the end there. But to see like what things he's going to be discovering, Charles Soule, right? Don't forget, he did the Poe Dameron 32 issue series. I think it was 32 issues that did a great job of starting before The Force Awakens, threading into The Force Awakens, and then sort of going a little bit into like The Last Jedi territory. So to get this, there's other content out there right now that is in between The Last Jedi and Rise, but the issue was that content was made before Rise of Skywalker was even out. You have Resistance Reborn by Rebecca Roanhorse, which we always talk about how that feels weird, how it fits in with Rise of Skywalker, because yeah, exactly. And then we have there's the other book that was with Rey, I think, on the cover of her with the Resistance running around, something like that.
I mean, there's Allegiance, the comic book.
Oh, Allegiance, yes. But now that we have this 5 years in the past, or whatever, 4 years, whatever it's been in the past, this is great, because now there's no more handlebars. There's like no guardrails. Like, okay, we got the full story. What is going to, this is what's great. This is like kind of like the Clone Wars effect of like, okay, let's make the sequel trilogy better, enhance it by interstitial content in between the movies that's going to hopefully pave the road a little bit, because there's a little turmoil, as we all know, and talked about it late. So going between different directors and writers in between these movies. Oh wait, Kylo Ren, he's getting rid of the mask. Oh wait, now he's got the mask back on. Like I'm very much, I mean, there's a lot of weight on Charles Soule's shoulders to kind of make a cohesive trilogy with Kylo Ren in mind, based on this comic book of like, all right, where is he mentally? Why is he going back to Vader? I thought he was forgetting about that stuff in The Last Jedi. He was making his own regime. Why does he feel the need to go back to Vader again? This is stuff we've seen in Rise of Skywalker. It felt like whiplash at the time. Like, wait, why is he reverting in his character? What's happening here? Yeah. And I think there's just going to be so many nice little tie-ins. The way that Adam Christopher did in Shadow of the Sith, where really propping up the sequel trilogy and making it more cohesive. So this is just going to be another boon for the sequel trilogy to just like lift that whole thing up and make it feel, again, more cohesive, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I'll repeat from Monday is here we have original trilogy content, sort of like original trilogy imagery references the original trilogy character in the sequel trilogy that that can all only help to make it feel more connected to the wider saga. That might be part of the issue and the struggle. And I know that was the struggle with the prequels that a lot of people had, was how is this connected to the original trilogy? And then we got Charles Soule's Darth Vader 2017 comic, and we got especially that one, Paul Kemp's novel, different stories set very early in the reign of the Empire that was able to visually connect the prequels to the original trilogy to say, oh, this is all one coherent story. I think what you mentioned in terms of Kylo Ren being very conflicted, and it's going to be this deeper character moment. Like we see in The Rise of Skywalker, he ends up turning. He chucks the saber. He ends up turning. In an important parallel, I think, to what his grandfather ultimately does. Right, and I think that was an intentional parallel. What we just got was this comic book. Well, first of all, we got Greg Pak's comic exploring where that conflict ends up coming from, at least starting on the path of Luke's role in that. But also Charles Soule's comic, 2017 comic, really dives into this conflict between Anakin and Vader in a way that we haven't gotten anywhere else in canon. Kieran Gillen's does for sure, but Charles definitely went even further. And so I do wonder, if the legacy of Vader, you think of the title. I think Joel was mentioning this, how Kylo thinks the legacy is a failure of he went back to the light side. What's with that? Whereas the legacy is being conflicted and saying that the lies of the dark side may not be all they're chalked up to be, but also he's drawn to the formidable power of this bona fide Sith Lord who he shares a bloodline with. So definitely stoked, definitely excited for this comic. Again, comes out February 5th, 2025. We'll have more time to talk about this at other points.
One last thing.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, so I like the idea with the comics. Just a quick aside. The comicscape of Star Wars in the year 2025, at least in the beginning of 2025, we're going to have a book ending of the entire saga with comic book ongoing series. We're going to have a pre-Phantom Menace Jedi Knight series with a almost book ending, I guess, close as it can be, with the Kylo Ren story in a sequel trilogy. So this is cool. Another quick tidbit is the idea that Lucasfilm is finally acknowledging a sequel trilogy story for the first time in years.
True.
Because it has been a long time since we got any sequel trilogy content that is like a strong narrative focused project. So it's nice to see that Lucasfilm is sort of like, okay, let's kind of let people back into this era of Star Wars. We've been focusing so much on High Republic, as they should, but now let's see. This is giving us a glimpse. It's like interesting for me to look at how many pieces are moving with the comics at this point in time. We're going to have a story over here in this era. Then we're going to have a story over here. We're still doing High Republic. So rather than it being that big coordinated effort of 4 issues tying into one another, we're going to have an ongoing here, an ongoing over there. So, I mean, it's easier for them to juggle because there's not as many connective pieces ongoing, but it's still a nice breath of fresh air with, okay, if you like the sequels, we got something for you. If you like the prequels, we got something for you. If you like the High Republic, that's still going on until May, so there's a lot of good variety, I will say, with the slate that we're seeing right now.
And if you like the original trilogy, well, here's a sequel trilogy story. Anyway, I do wonder, last point, I do wonder if, the Lego specials that are set in the sequel era, they did well. They were great. So, but they weren't necessarily the serious narrative, like you're saying, narrative driven. They were well told stories. They were fun. here's a bit more of a serious story. I think what I mean is that I think that they're finally coming back to the sequel era, also with the Poe Dameron comic to some extent, with Ethan Sachs' Poe comic.
This is.
But my point being that it might owe that fact a little bit to just time, but also to the Lego specials. I think really help prime us for this better, maybe.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be a very bloody book. This is going to be a very violent book that is going to be full of just carnage and mayhem and just Kylo Ren just going on killing sprees. I could see it now, just him getting angry, like, no, you're not giving me my information, you're dead, and force choking and stabbing. It's gonna be a feast for the eyes for the dark side lovers out there. So
it sounds like Kylo Ren, black, white, red, which is not a bad idea. Also, all right, we got to move on a little bit here, just to go back in time. And guys, we're not only are we going back, a couple hundred years or whatever. We're finally going back a few weeks, but we're also, I gotta say this, I gotta put this up here. We're not only going back 250 years, we're going back like 400 years or something like this 100 years. That's not true. That's false. This is set like 300 years before the Acolyte. It is High Republic Adventures: Echoes of Fear #2, written by George Mann, art by Vincenzo Federici and Juan Samu. I hope I got those names right. Colors by Michael Adier. Covered by Eduardo Mello and Valentina Tadeo. Jedi Knight Reith Silas and Jedi Padawan Amadeo Azazo delve deeper into the history of the Echo Stones. In doing so, they unearth the epic tale of Jedi Master Barnabas Vim and his Padawan Vix Phonic as they try to recover an Echo Stone from the hands of a Jedi Wayfinder who risks being seduced by its force amplifying power. This one, first of all, definitely read Tears of the Nameless before you read this comic book. And I'm really glad I did, and it was right that to do that. Yeah,
definitely the thing in the beginning with the Ptolemaites, right? I was like, dude, they're gonna spoil the whole story right there at the end with the Echo Stones and all.
Spoil it right off the bat there, but also fills in so much rich character story for Reith, especially. But all the lore around it. I also did, just knowing what was kind of having a sense of what was coming, went back and read Quest of the Jedi, the one shot by Claudia Gray in Phase 2, which has Padawan Aslan Rel researching Barnabas Vim. So glad I went back and did that. But
I forgot that.
Yeah, and so all the thing about, and that does get referenced. You literally see the panel of Vim and the planet. Interesting parallels. Some themes are coming up here. These kind of isolated ocean planets, like Tolus is basically an ocean planet, I think, that's isolated, and that's why. And then that planet that Vim finds the Echo Stone is also this isolated ocean planet that is experiencing environmental degradation because of this Echo Stone. And so there's that theme. So the what I want to focus in on, maybe the one or two things that really stand out, though, and I was thinking about this is why. Okay, what is this story doing? Why we have Reith and Amadeo looking up Barnabas and whatnot, and okay, that's interesting lore, interesting exposition and backstory about what happened with the stone. Yet again, the stone saying, basically the implication, if you read Tears of the Nameless, is that if you have it, it's meant for a purpose. It's meant to guide the Nameless back to Planet X. If the Nameless are away from Planet X, then the Blight ends up wreaking havoc as a consequence. I also think something similar is happening with the Echo Stone, that if it's being used other than for its intended purpose, or the Echo Stones being used for other than their intended purpose, they end up corrupting. We're not very much, and also in a way that's very much reminiscent of Lord of the Rings, or the Rings of Power, which has this interesting kind of cultural resonance with that show, which the best show of 2024, in my opinion. But to get to my main point is, okay, we get this whole comic book about Barnabas here. What is that doing for Reith's character? because that's the thing we always got to come back to, is what's doing for character. And I thought about this. I thought, Reith's arc, he starts off in Light of the Jedi. He wants to just the world, the galaxy's too hard already as it is before the Nile, and he just wants to go hide in the archives and read some arcane history just for fun, because it's too hard out there. And his Jorah Malley is saying, no, we gotta get going. Then she dies, and he goes through the Valo affair and all these experiences, these difficult experiences. Comac takes him under his wing, and then Comac leaves, and not before knighting him. All these experiences that really push him out. Here we see in Barnabas, and this is what I think is really happening here. Yes, he's able to find the Echo Stones, and at the end of the story, we see Reith doesn't know this, but we see that he finds his way all the way to Planet X.
Yeah.
He ends up succeeding in doing the thing that Reith is trying to do and seeking to do, because Reith wants to bring the Nameless back there. He wants to solve this, right? And he wants to bring the Nameless back into balance too. Barnabas, I think him finding Planet X especially gets me to think he is what Reith as a character is becoming and growing into. He is able to be curious and explore science and ancient myths and lore. He's able to have a Padawan and help her, expose her to different situations, and then goes off and tries to take care of the Echo Stone situation here. He's able to go on this adventure and recognize, in both we see in the phase 2 story and this story, the danger of the Echo Stones. They aren't just this fascinating little trinket or piece of lore. They're going to focus Reith on a purpose of helping the wider galaxy, and that's the journey that he's on. From again, this contrast, I think if before phase 1 he came into the Echo Stones, he probably would have used them because he thought, oh, this is really neat and curious, and this growth of maturity. I think Master Barnabas Vim ultimately represents what Master Reith Silas would be like. Please let him get that old. May he survive. What a Master Reith Silas would be like in having that level of beneficial influence on the galaxy, based on his ability to be curious about the past and be bold and courageous about the present. And that, again, that's the journey that Reith is on. And so that's the one thing that I really thought about. Again, Barnabas finding Planet X as this sign, this image of Reith's character, and also to say that it's possible to happen. I mean, we saw, I think in the next issue, we are going to go back to phase 2 with the Pathfinder teams. I wonder where, Marta and her group finding the planet and taking the Nameless the first time, first time in this era, at least, where that's going to come in. But to say, this is a little nod to say for Barnabas did it, so Reith can do it too. And Barnabas was able to grow in that, become this character, and so Reith can too. Of course, Barnabas, we're seeing him later in life, but this is where Reith, my guy, he's going. Last thing I'll say, this whole chunk, I tweeted this out today, I think, or yesterday when I read it. It's too soon to tell. This whole chunk about Reith and Amadeo and Barnabas and the Echo Stones, it's becoming my favorite, possibly going to be my favorite whole chunk of High Republic period. Because it's taking this mythology and lore and bringing it into the thing I wanted to see, the thing I want to happen. Right. So there we go. That's my one big takeaway from Echoes of Fear number 2. I'll throw it to you. What did you think of this one?
Yeah, Barnabas, is it Zim or Vim?
Vim, Vim.
Barnabas Vim is one of the best characters in the High Republic, hands down. He is so cool. We've seen so very little of him. But man, are we being robbed of such a great character? We need to see more of him, because I freaking love this character. He is so cool because he's just so perseverant with what he does. He's so driven. He is so dedicated to the cause of finding out the bottom line of what is this.
Yeah.
And I love the artwork in this as well, about him just going on this like Lord of the Rings-esque journey of like this one beautiful splash page of just journeying through the waterfalls and the cliffs and the rocky roads. And it's just like this really epic, like when they were pitching the High Republic, I remember they were like saying like, this is an Arthurian tale. Like they were being influenced by these grand journeys. Yes, that is beautiful. Absolutely awesome stuff right there. And not only that, but like even the beginning part, like he ends up on this like cyberpunk planet and he's going around and he's like there's like a whole page of like various characters that he's like asking for information. So just like the cool like lived in state, like what he has to go through as like investigating all this, kind of like Obi-Wan Kenobi, like investigating the mystery of it all. Like that's what Tears of the Nameless is a lot. Is like that the Obi-Wan kind of mystery element in Star Wars of figure out what is happening here. And I just the whole thing with the other character, I brought up my notes here. The other character's name is Tarak.
Right. The Wayfinder.
Tarak. Yeah, the Wayfinder. And the way that the power of the Echo Stone corrupts this guy. And again, the perseverance of Barnabas, who is able to actually get him to let go of the Echo Stone, because the Echo Stone just about nearly kills the guy. Because I love the idea, again, like you're saying, about this part of the Force is so cool because they're amplifying their Force abilities with this Echo Stone, but it comes at a cost. Like they're able to save this entire village or whatever with like erecting an entire wall of,
just land
that just pop out of the earth at the last moment. It was awesome. Like this is the stuff of legends, and that's why I really love the High Republic, is because in a lot of ways it feels like the Lord of the Rings sometimes, because it's that grand fantasy element of Star Wars taken up to the 10th degree. And that was always something I was looking for out of this series, is okay, and this tale that we get in this book really gives me that. And it's like that hope, like that he gives this character, like, no, you don't have to hang on to it, I will take it. And he goes and he continues his journey. And man, I don't know, I hope that maybe Planet X people like maybe age slowly there, because I would love to see this guy come back. Like Reith goes there and we get to see Barnabas Vim and he rescues him. And they're able to come back, and that'd be so great.
Unless Barnabas doesn't want to leave, because why would you? But
yeah,
or at least to meet him, right? Again, that speaks to you've now it's seeing himself in a mirror in a way, right? You've come to the end of this part of your journey. Then, it definitely, again, the scope and the scale. That's what's astounding, is George Mann. He's able to write this large, large scale story with these implications, cosmic implications, and this is the key to the Nile, or the Nameless, right? And if key the Nameless, and this key to the Nile, but again, it giving us these characters and this clear, we see him narrating, narrating it, into the holocron, his journey for his Padawan. So definitely here for it, definitely loving it. Keep it up, George. Looking forward to going back to phase 2 a little bit. Kind of was expecting, open it up and it's the Pathfinders and it's the blue mark. No, it's still the black. It's still in phase 3. We're still moving the story forward, but there we go. And any last thoughts on HRA Echoes of Fear number 2?
Nope.
All right, sounds good. Let's move right along. Not quite to still phase 2, still phase 3. Not quite 400 years, but maybe a few months or so back. This is High Republic Adventures number 11, written by Daniel Jose Older with art by Cata Felipe. And
cover's awesome.
Actually, the cover by the Talibaus, Harvey and Kevin. Yeah, really fantastic. Ariadu is an interesting description here. Not too sure about it. Ariadu is under siege. The fate of the planet lies with the ruling Tarkin family, and nobody knows whose side they're on. Will the Tarkins join forces with the Republic resistance, or capitulate to the vile Nile. While the bureaucrats wheel and deal, Padawan Ram Jomaram gathers a team of underdogs to launch a rescue mission deep within the exclusion zone. I'll throw this to you. What do you think of HRA number 11? What one or two takeaways?
Oh yeah, I really like this a lot because it's really folding in a lot of elements from phase 2, even from the current phase going around. It's great to see Ram Jamaram. He's been pretty important for phase 3, whether it be Escape from Valo and different things like that. But we're going to see him back. And it was great to see the Scarlet Skulls on paper, visually. Like this little ragtag crew, and seeing Gavi was really cool because in the Star Wars Insider magazine, without giving anything away, he's mentioned in there a few times. So I was like, oh yeah, that character, and now I get to see him again. And he's holding together on Valo. I like the idea. Like, he is such a clever character. I really like how he was able to dupe the warden on this, and his whole idea of like thinking on the fly. Like, for a little kid, he's able to really be quite quite good with what he's saying to get this guy to believe him. And like being a little Nile, oh yeah, they're just undercover agents infiltrating. The guy believes him, and then he believes him so much he smiles like this crazy smile in this panel. I'm like, oh, I had to write that down in my notes. Like, that smile was just diabolically strange for this character. I don't know. I didn't know his face could actually twist in that way to make a smile, because all he's ever doing is scowling all the time. But yeah, you have that guy. Another big takeaway is, again, like Therm Scissor Punch.
I found the smile.
There we go. There we go. It's just absolutely, this is why I love this book so much, because they can be serious, but they can have really fun, zany moments like that. And yeah, I have a lot to say about this book, but I'll let you take the rest. But I really enjoyed it because there's a lot of cool connectivity that, again, as we're getting into the final roundabout of this race, so to speak, it's things are coming to a head and things are starting to match up. All these long storylines that have been divergent are now converging, and we're getting some real good stuff right about now.
Yeah, it's interesting that we're taking this little detour. Why I know about this description, because again, most of the action, has been around Eriadu. All of the action in the last 10 issues. Not all of it, but a good chunk of it. And we know issues 14 to 17 to the end is the Battle of Eriadu. So that's going to be a major conflict in the High Republic. I think it's going to be, we know it's going to take in Markion, and Yoda's going to show up. We have that from the connecting covers from Harvey there we saw in New York. They showed us that. But also this little side mission checking in with everything happening on Valo that we heard from in the young reader book Escape from Valo, and kind of bring back, picking up where they left off, and like you said, tying that in. It felt very natural. It didn't feel weird that we were going back, right? It felt they did a great job. DJO and everyone did a great job of connecting it with the main storyline, getting these reinforcements there. You mentioned Gavi. I mentioned Zalkeem. The gunslinging
Zabrak.
Yeah, the Zabrak who kind of inherits this these kind of marauders from his grandmother from phase 2, and just again, it's another very spunky, very.
That's what they came from.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but like I was wondering like how he got paired up with Therm Scissor Punch and Dern. And I remember that passage in the book where they're like, yeah, my grandmother was this force sensitive Zabrak that was running things with this pirate crew. Oh, it's even coming together more now.
Just again, they're very spunky, very much we're gonna board them. We're gonna
because that's their ship that they used to have, the Starhopper.
Yeah, and so
I love that part.
So all that to say, again, really great character moments, and seeing Ram come back. He continues to be, talk about another character that's really grown up, and Escape from Valo, we really saw it. what's the last one? Fear the Nameless. We saw that too. He's again leading these younglings. He's ready to be knighted pretty soon. I think it means he's come a long way. We come along even from that short story, the interlude short story in between the phases, where he was all terrified of what people think of him, and now here he's able to, again, he's led these younglings. He's going back and making the decision to go take care of, or maybe has he been knighted already? Maybe he hasn't. I don't know, but
No.
he should be soon. Anyway, the point being there, yeah, his growth, but also to say these younglings have always punched above their weight, which is kind of funny to think, but given the circumstances they're pushed into, given the way the Force and Jedi training has prepared them, and that's the astounding thing. And we kind of knocked Jedi for taking these kids from when they're young and putting them into these difficult situations, but like we saw in the Acolyte, for example, with Jakku, this Jedi training has actually enabled them to, in this era, this may be a contrast, enabled them to really embrace the situation and make the most of the situation. So yeah, it was amazing to see Gavi be that smart and that clever, but it didn't surprise me either. So
yeah, I got some serious nostalgia for the Old Republic trailers of old. When I seen that splash page that took over 2 pages of them storming the ship, and you see Zyle just gunslinging with that leather trench coat, those blasters. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's straight out of the trailer from the Old Republic. I wonder if DJO had watched those trailers and was like, I want to do that in this book, because it very much was very flashy. And it was just charge. And I love how you see all the Nile on the other side. And then you have what's going on with the Red Skulls that's happening. They're having the riots. They're just, this is good stuff, man. I love it.
So, happy for this interlude kind of excursion.
Yeah.
It'll be good to see it connect in issue 14 as everything comes to a head. All right, moving on. One more book to get into. Battle of Jakku. Going a couple centuries later. That's a wild thing. So we got 4 something centuries, and then we got 200 years later, and now we're into the era just after the Battle of
See, this is how Star Wars should work, or should always be. I just love how you have this vast amount of time, and it's crazy to me that we've only gotten to this large amount of space between things in the last 4 or 5 years. But anyway, yes, it's great.
There we go. Battle of Jakku. This is Insurgency Rising number 3, written by Alex Segura, art by Leonard Kirk and Jethro Morales, colors by Rashawn Rosenberg, and cover, of course, by Mr. Phil Noto. Tess Dameron faces death in the grip of a fearsome Imperial threat. Who is the mysterious Reyna Oscar, and what does her influence over the Defiant Imperial mean for the New Republic? Does the Defiant Imperial have an Inquisitor by his side? Our villain consolidates his power, but at what cost? An iconic familiar face arrives to save the captured heroes. So this one, it was good. It was a little confusing only because I had forgotten, what direction Kess and that crew and the guy from Resistance, what's his name? Jarek, whatever his name is, I forget his name. Why am I blanking?
Jarek
Yeager. He's in that group too. What direction they're heading? No, they're trying to get intelligence on Adelhard. Turns out they got bombs on board because you can't go against Adelhard. There are pretty defiant Imperials there. So that was, but it turned out pretty interesting, I'd say. One thing, I think the big thing that I noticed towards the end was very clear. You have the Acolyte of the Beyond talking to Adelhard about the Force and the power of the dark side, and getting to convince him to actually believe in the Force and believe in what the dark side can offer him. Just like, hey, with Vader and Palpatine, these Sith Lords, they believed in the dark side, and look what happened to them, but then look what happened to them as the counter argument. Then switch over to Luke and Leia and that conversation on Chandrilla, and Leia saying, "Oh, I've sent Kess and Yeager and them to their deaths. What have I done? And Luke has to say, this is what the Force can offer you. It can offer peace and hope, even in the midst of difficult situations and uncertain situations. So that was well played up together. That being said, the visual thing at the end was very confusing. They had two black cloaked figures.
Oh my gosh! I waited until this video of us sitting here to even say anything, because I'm happy we're on the same brainwave with that. We have a lot to discuss with that moment. We have a lot to discuss with that moment, but I'll let you finish.
So that, and then I'll spoil it. It turns out, okay, first of all, it's interesting. Yes, there's still an Inquisitor, and then of course it's another Mandalorian season 2 finale. Luke Skywalker coming to save the day, because previewed by the lightsaber and all that. It's kind of funny. It made me think of that Mandalorian season 2, and I'm like, still just Luke Skywalker again. We just saw him in a great scene again. With Leia, I really him comforting his sister with encouraging her to have faith in the Force, and also that these rebels, New Republic fighters, they know what they're getting into. They know the risks. And then, okay, that's great. Let's get another Jedi come and save the day. Let's get someone more creative and clever, not the thing all the prequel bros want, or the original trilogy bros want, not the prequel bros. I'm a prequel bro. Well, I want someone else. And so that's the thing with even that Mandalorian season 2. I need to go back and watch it, because it's been years, and so I got to get over my disappointment there. But and
wait, you never liked that part?
I didn't dislike it. It's just I had the problem of expectations, and I liked it.
Expectations? How could you even expected that Luke was going to come and save the day? It was out of left field.
I expected that. Not in this comic, but in Mandalorian, yeah.
That's what I mean. Oh man,
a little bit. Or to say, maybe I don't know. Did I expect it? Anyway, I wasn't blown away the way other people were.
Ooh.
Is what it is, and which is fine. Again, I'm just saying. And so this kind of made me think of that. Oh, wait a minute. But
okay.
Yeah. But I think to get back to where you're going to get at, just have some more visual.
It was sloppy.
Leonard Kirk and Jethro Morales, you guys are great. Rochelle Rosenberg, you guys are great. Have some differentiation. Don't make us.
I had to go and look at the damn belt buckle.
Me too.
To make sure. I looked at the hilt of that saber to be like, okay, that is a Half Moon Inquisitor saber. That's Luke. Yeah. While we're talking on the subject, I'll just talk about this moment here. I think what really makes it confusing for me is that there's the overlay of two people speaking that I had to do the work to decipher who was doing what. Yeah. Because you have the Inquisitor talking about Adelhard needing more than just his tactics. Mm-hmm. He needs to have the Force, and the Force needs to be derived from the dark side of the Force. But then you have Luke talking in the same page, right next to that same speech bubble, and he's talking about, I'm back again, and I'm going to believe in the light, or something to that degree. I believe in the light. Yeah. But it was so disjointed, and it was a shame, because you felt like, okay, this needed another 2 or 3 pages to pull this off, or at least, or something, because I can't imagine anybody else is going to have an easy time figuring out what's going on here. At one point, I had this crazy theory. The first time I read it, I'm like, wait, so was Luke undercover as an Inquisitor? Yeah. And then he pulled out his green saber, and then he's going to just, I don't know what's happening here. Like, that was my initial confusion. Like, is this the same character? What is happening here?
You know what? Just put him go back to the Empire Strikes Back jumpsuit, and have him sneaking around like you sneak around Cloud City. He's sneaking around this base. Just don't hide him. Just make it explicit. I think they were trying to, clearly trying to set up that same contrast that they do really well in a few pages before. Trying to, I don't know, sort of say they can look the same on the outside, but on the inside, you can be as sneaky and sneaky and lethal, but still be serving the light if it's the reasons you're doing it. And that might be a theme that comes back. But it wasn't clearly communicated. It just didn't.
Plus, there's no way or reason that Luke would know. I mean, I'm assuming that I imagine he's on this Star Destroyer where they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How does he get there? How does he know the Star Destroyer is over there? That last we heard, he literally was talking to Leia or something that the other agent guy was saying, "Oh, we haven't heard from our contacts. Their ship exploded."
Yeah.
Like, how the heck does Luke go from Hosnian Prime and just magically appears on his ship like Cloak taking out stormtroopers? It felt like we needed like another. That's what I mean. We need another 2 or 3 pages,
maybe,
to telegraph, because it just seems so far out of left field. Like he conveniently happens to be there at the perfect time. Like, what the heck?
Let's look at the Force. Is Chandrilla and Bespin not that far from each other? It's near Bespin. Just anyway. Yeah. I mean, I don't mind that. I mean, Luke, travel distances in Star Wars.
No, it's just the fact that there was no telegraphing that he would even know where these guys are. That just bothers me. Where I'm like, this just seems too convenient. I don't know.
Yeah. That's fair.
I mean, I'm excited for what they're doing, like setting up Luke fighting an Inquisitor. That is a tantalizing idea, and I'm very much looking forward to like seeing him wipe the floor with this Inquisitor and who the Inquisitor's identity, because obviously they're wearing a hood. Do you think it's the Obscura woman?
Well, this Reina Oscar.
Probably. Yeah, or Obscura.
Yeah, or whatever. Which
do you think it could be her?
I don't know. I mean, I wasn't able to follow too clearly enough, but. I thought so. I think so.
You think it's going to be her cloaked?
Like, I don't know if it's the. I mean, we see her face, right? I don't think it's the Acolyte of the Beyond. I think it might be someone else. That's my gut saying that.
It's gonna be Galen Merrick, Starkiller.
There you go.
That would just destroy the internet, man. Talk about getting comic book sales.
Who's an Inquisitor is?
Yeah, watch him be an Inquisitor. No, it's never gonna happen.
There's a Mara Jade shout in issue 2, right? So
with the girl with the red hair.
Yeah,
I know. That's what I was thinking about. I was like, oh my gosh, what happens if this is like a new?
I don't think so. I doubt that. But you never know. It was an interesting little bit at the end. They're rescued by this spy on board the Imperial ship.
Yeah,
that's cool setup for future.
It's cool. I like seeing Kith Alacia.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah, she's the acolyte.
It's a good payoff. It's a great payoff actually, because we've seen how uncomfortable and questioning she has been.
Okay. Now I see. Yeah, sorry.
See, you blew my mind earlier. Now I'm blowing your mind. It's cool to see that paying off of it. Okay, how long are they going to keep drawing out this person's kind of questioning everything? Oh, she is like Hux. She has basically let them out of there. But then we see Commander Bragg just instantly just like sucker punch Kez like with that iron fist. Like, I don't know how the heck that guy doesn't have brain damage after that, because that would hurt.
Yeah.
But as far as my thoughts on the episode, on the issue, other than like the ending, which was weird, I enjoyed it. I like seeing more of the legacy of, or not legacy, but like the past of Zori Bliss with her mother, with those guys. Shout out to the Ebon Hawk. I know it's not the Ebon Hawk, but like the ship that they are on is basically the same model, and that's even mentioned in the Poe Dameron Freefall novel, which you have to read now because of seeing all this stuff. Like, oh, it's going to be good for you because you're going to see Tommaso, you're going to see Vilch. All those guys are in that book. They even mentioned the agent that's like part of the Republic spy network that's talking with Leia. Mentioned somebody on a hologram by name of Troon.
Nice.
Now, there's a Troon in Poe Dameron Freefall. I believe this must be her father. Maybe. I don't think he was ever mentioned. I might have it in my notes, but I have to look through them. But yeah, I thought that was interesting because he's like that the contact that they had out there that I guess that they were like at one point last issue, like, oh, well, we have this, this report that is not accurate because this guy's saying this thing and your guy's saying this thing, blah, blah, blah. So it's cool to see that going on. But yeah, I mean, it's a solid issue. Aside from the other thing, it's a solid issue. I enjoyed it, and the best part is we only have to wait a week to see how it resolves, and it's already gonna be the final issue of the first arc. So
and overall pretty great, and off to a great start. This whole Insurgency Rising, this whole Battle of Jakku, medium maxi series, 12 issues. Like you said, next week. We'll get into it, but yeah, I don't know if you have any last thoughts on that. Actually, maybe there's a good segue. Next week, Battle of Jakku, Insurgency Rising number 4. But we're probably gonna take a break. We've got a lot of like we're all conned out. All that. Also, I have a webinar I got to go to. So, I think there's only one book. I mean, my insider issue might come in, but we'll we wait a month between issues. We can wait 2 weeks between talking about issues here.
As long as there's not 5 comics coming out that week.
Yeah, well, you never know.
You never know.
That there's no Marvel show finale right after that. So there we go. Put the cards on the table there. All right, I think that about does it. Unless you have anything more to say.
Nope, that's about it. Oh, one fun fact here. One fun fact linking into the comics. Mm-hmm. I had to call this out to my girlfriend here because I heard from the Star Wars Underworld that there's a character named the Teak that's going to be in the Skeleton Crew. Mm-hmm. So that got me thinking, just like the guys on the pod, which you got to listen to this week. Great show, as always. They're like, oh, yeah, we're going to start watching the shows. So that's what I did. I turned on Caravan of Courage, and this is where I'm going with this. They have a reference, or at least rather, the Ewoks issue number 2. No, issue number 1. Because there's a direct reference to one of the creatures.
Nice.
So at one point, Wicket is walking around the woods, and there's like a little that little face thing that's like connected to like the big mouth creature from that issue that goaded in Wicket.
Yeah.
And that's actually in the Caravan of Courage, believe it or not.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
they have that in there. They have the big walking creature that was from one. It looks like a gigantic rat, essentially. Mm. That is in one of the comics that I've read over the years for Ewoks.
Nice. And
it's not half bad. We're halfway through they're like full feature movies. We're halfway through Caravan of Courage. We'll pick it back up this next week, but yeah, not bad so far. And it's cool to see that Lucasfilm was pulling from that, even to the point of putting in a character from the next movie, which is the Battle of Endor for Skeleton Crew. So I thought that was a little comic tie-in. And I was like, oh, somebody's paying attention out there.
Well, the comic, it's written, I think it's supposed to be like the 40th anniversary of Caravan of Courage. And it's called Caravan of Carnage.
Yeah.
So there we go. There we go. That does it for this week's Tractor Beam. Nice and quick show. Where can they find you on the internet, and what is Outer Rim Transmissions up to?
Yeah, Outer Rim Transmission was on a little bit of a break this week, catching up to the con stuff. I had a lot of work I wanted to do to get that out of the way. Plus, there wasn't really a whole lot. Well, actually, there was a good amount in Star Wars news, but hey, we'll cover it this week. Kylo Ren, bunch of stuff happened with Skeleton Crew. I'm sure there's going to be the promotion's going to ramp up as soon as Agatha's over tonight. You know how it goes. As soon as one show ends, boom, they just immediately start the next day. Trailer tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if they throw out a Skeleton Crew trailer this week. But that's beside the fact.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can follow me on Star Raptor on Twitter, first of all, because that's where I'm going to be posting my thoughts on a lot of video games. We got Dragon Age, the Veilguard coming out tomorrow. So very much looking to diving in. I still haven't figured out what class or what race combination I'm going to make in that game, but it's going to be a tough decision. So I got that going on, a lot of video game talk with a lot of things coming out this time of the year. And on YouTube, I'm also just keeping you guys up to speed with Star Wars. As I mentioned before, Matthew, Outer Rim Transmission will return this Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/StarRaptor. But yeah, great show. Great efficiency on this show. We got it down to under an hour, so we can get this 2-episode finale in before I pass out.
There's that. Yeah. We don't normally worry too much about time, but tonight we wanted to make sure of that. You can follow me on Instagram and Threads, MNEUG1138, Twitter, NEUG485, of course, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Iron Cannon Pod, EYEONCANONPOD. This past Monday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. I guess was in the past, so it doesn't matter what time it was. Joel and I, we talked all about, again, the New York Comic Con reveals and this Legacy of Vader comic. This coming Monday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, we are talking about democracy. Now, Star Wars says what democracy needs to survive in light of something else coming up the day later. Please, if you're eligible to vote in the United States, please do vote in the presidential election, and all down ballot votes. Your voice matters. Your voice counts. I can't vote because I'm Canadian, not allowed, but I would if I could. So we're going to definitely talk about that on Monday. Just democracy, what needs to survive. So please do check that out. Check the flagship tomorrow. Not quite sure what they're talking about, but right here, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on the Underworld channel as well. And we're gonna we'll be back. We promise we'll be back in 2 weeks, talking about Battle of Jakku, Insurgency Rising #4, and likely the Insider should come in.
Hopefully,
copy of Insider should come in by then. So definitely looking forward. Obviously looking forward to this story continuing at this clip. Really enjoying that. So there we go. So please do pick it up at your local comic book shop. Hopefully they have a single issue there for you. If not, it's also on digital as well. But until then, happy reading.